Hello, and welcome to the Streets Will Never Forget podcast, Extra Streets.
Extra.
Thank you very much. Today I'm joined by Wall and Rob. I've just got a quick
Hello,
one
mate.
for you today. Got a quick one for you today, boys. At their best, so I'm talking prime, who was better? Steven Gerrard and Fernando Torres, or Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba?
Oof.
Wall, are you tackling this first, mate?
Yeah, go on. I'll slip into this. Sorry.
Slide, mate. Slide into it.
Well,
Slide into this like you're
it was
sliding
more.
into the DMs.
It was more of a Gerrard reference there, Rob. But
Yeah, I got it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
glad you did. That's a tough one. To be fair, it really is. I mean, for me, I think Frank and Drogba. For me, Lampard and Drogba.
Rob, what about you?
You see, I was always a massive fan of Fernando Torres. I thought he was an absolute quality player. But I'm going to have to agree with Wall. I think Lampard and Drogba. I think simply because Lampard was the ultimate. When we think of goal scoring midfielders, well, there is none in Premier League history better than Frank Lampard, Chelsea's all-time record goal scorer. You've seen managers comment on how good he is. We've seen him being put into the best 11s that the Premier League's ever seen. And he's, like I've said, he's certainly the best attacking midfielder to ever grace the Premier League. And I think Drogba, I didn't always like some of his antics. Sometimes I thought he went down quite easily at times. But I think in terms of what he was able to do, the power he generated when you think about that goal in the Champions League final against Bayern Munich, think about the power he had to get away from Jerome Boateng, the strength he had, but then the power he generates on that header as well. So I think, the power of his headers, the way he could shoot the ball, the way he could hold off a defender, he had it all, didn't he? His calmness under pressure. He took the winning penalty in the Champions League final against Manuel Neuer. And to do that in that circumstances, the amount of pressure on him, considering that Chelsea had lost a few years earlier in Moscow and he got sent off. It was, he was a player for. People always said Drogba was a player for the big occasions, and I think he could.
No,
he
definitely
it all.
was.
So,
Definitely was.
So for me, it's got to be Lampard and Drogba.
Yeah.
Why do you say Lampard and Drogba, Wall?
Well, I think very similar to what Rob said. I think the fact that as well Frank and Drogba have won a lot together.
Yeah.
They've won the Premier League a couple of times. I think there are a couple of FA Cups in there as well. Champions League, as well as Rob's message mentioned. All right, yeah, Torres and Gerrard, they had that amazing season where they were just pipped by United to win the Premier League.
Well, Torres, on his day, Torres was unplayable, wasn't he?
Oh, he was, but unfortunately, unplayable doesn't result in trophies, and Liverpool didn't get many at that time. They had
that bird.
They won the Carling Cup, didn't they? Or whatever it was at the time against Cardiff.
I think Torres had left.
Was Torres even there at that point? Yeah, that's what I mean. I can't even recall if he was there.
Yeah. But no, I think in his prime, Torres on his day was absolutely unplayable. The way the finesse he could have on a shot, the curl he could get on it, the running in behind, the pace. You'd look at Gerrard, he'd just spray balls over the top for Fernando Torres, who'd get 30 a season. So he was a player that a lot. Considering Liverpool, I think they spent like between 25 and 30 million on Torres at the time. He was a player that I'm shocked that other Premier League teams didn't go after. I know there was a lot of interest from Arsenal at the time in him, but as was typical Arsenal, they let him go because they wouldn't pay the cash for a player who would have taken them to the next level without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at them as a separate play, I mean, there's the constant Lampard and Gerrard argument, isn't there?
For another day.
Two entirely different players for me, though, mate.
For me, I think Lampard was more of a complete player. I mean, possibly one of the most, I think, of his time. I think he's an incredible player, and I love Didier Drogba, even as an Arsenal fan, and that's hard for me to say. He was just incredible. Like, big games, big goals. The power he had, the smart footballer, stuff like that, and putting him together with Frank Lampard, obviously, I think it creates a perfect duo. That's not to take anything away from Gerrard. Great player, could play an incredible ball. Always turned up when it mattered.
Again, Torres was similar, wasn't he? He was similar as a player for the big occasions when you need a goal, when you need a screamer.
Yeah.
You had Steven Gerrard.
And Torres, for me, I suppose, might be marred as his time he had after Liverpool. I don't know. Again, a fantastic player, a really good player. But for me, it's just edged by Lampard and Drogba.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to disagree on any of these podcasts left?
I feel like we all have very similarly informed opinions.
There will be some that we disagree on, I promise you.
Yeah, we definitely have to just try and intentionally create some arguments.
We definitely need to spice these up.
Thank you very much, both of you. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Cheers.
That's all right. Take
care, boys. Take care, boys.